In the heart of rural America, nestled among cornfields and forgotten highways, there stood an old, dilapidated circus grounds. Once a haven for laughter and wonder, it had long since been abandoned, its vibrant colors faded to ghostly shades of gray. Yet, despite its derelict appearance, whispers persisted among the townsfolk of strange happenings at the site. Legend had it that the circus was haunted by the spirits of its former performers, particularly the clowns who had once entertained generations of families. These weren't your ordinary clowns, though. They were said to wear masks with expressions so unnervingly real that they seemed to shift and contort with every passing shadow. One fateful night, a group of adventurous teenagers dared each other to explore the abandoned circus grounds. Armed with nothing but flashlights and trembling courage, they ventured into the darkness, their laughter masking the fear that gnawed at the edges of their minds. As they crept deeper into the maze of crumbling tents and forgotten attractions, they began to sense a presence lurking in the shadows. Whispers danced on the edge of their hearing, and the air grew thick with the scent of stale popcorn and mildew. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the darkness, a clown, its mask twisted into a grotesque grin that seemed to mock the very concept of joy. The teens froze in terror as the clown beckoned them closer with a single gloved finger. Unable to resist the pull of their own curiosity, they followed the clown deeper into the heart of the circus grounds. With each step, the world around them seemed to warp and shift, reality itself bending to the will of the malevolent spirits that called this place home. As they reached the center of the circus ring, the clown turned to face them, its eyes burning with an otherworldly fire. With a voice that echoed from the depths of the abyss, it spoke of ancient curses and forgotten sins, weaving a tale of darkness and despair that chilled the very souls of those who listened. And then, with a final mocking laugh, the clown vanished into thin air, leaving the teenagers alone in the heart of the haunted circus grounds. They fled into the night, their screams swallowed by the howling wind as the shadows closed in around them. To this day, the abandoned circus remains a forbidden place, its secrets hidden behind a shroud of darkness and mystery. But beware, for those who dare to seek out its horrors may find themselves face to face with the true terrors that lurk behind the mask of a clown. Years passed, and the tale of the haunted circus became nothing more than a cautionary bedtime story told to scare misbehaving children. But for one young woman named Emily, the legend held a strange fascination. Drawn by an inexplicable urge, Emily found herself standing at the edge of the deserted circus grounds. One moonless night, the whispers of the past swirling around her like a cloak of shadows. Ignoring the warnings echoing in her mind, she ventured forth, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. As she explored the eerie ruins, Emily felt the weight of centuries-old secrets pressing down upon her. She could almost hear the faint echoes of laughter and applause, mingling with the distant cries of those who had fallen victim to the curse of the circus. Suddenly, she heard a rustling sound behind her, and she spun around to see a figure emerging from the darkness. A clown, its mask twisted into a grin that sent shivers down her spine. "Welcome, dear child," the clown crooned, its voice like ice against her skin. "Do you seek the truth that lies hidden within these cursed grounds?" Emily nodded, unable to tear her gaze away from the haunting figure before her. With a wave of its hand, the clown beckoned her closer, leading her deeper into the heart of the abandoned circus. As they journeyed through the maze of forgotten memories, the clown spoke of the tragedy that had befallen those who had once called this place home. It told of lost dreams and broken promises, of souls trapped in an eternal dance of sorrow and regret. But as they reached the center of the circus ring, Emily felt a sudden chill run down her spine. For standing before her was not just a clown, but a mirror image of herself, her own face twisted into a grotesque parody of joy. With a horrified gasp, Emily stumbled backwards, her mind reeling with the realization that she had been lured into the heart of the curse that had plagued the circus for so long. And as the darkness closed in around her, she knew that she would never escape the haunted legacy of the clowns who had come before. The legend of the haunted circus lives on, its mysteries hidden within the shadows of the past. And as long as there are those who dare to seek out its secrets, the curse of the clowns will continue to claim its victims, one by one. In the quiet town of Willow Creek, nestled in the heart of rural America, there stood an old, weather-beaten mansion known simply as Blackwood Manor. For decades, whispers had circulated among the townsfolk about the dark history that shrouded the imposing estate, tales of tragedy, and whispered secrets that seemed to cling to its crumbling walls like a ghostly presence. The legend of Blackwood Manor traced its origins back to the early settlers who had first laid claim to the land centuries ago. According to local lore, the mansion had been built atop an ancient Native American burial ground, a desecration that had angered the spirits of the land and cursed the land for all eternity. Over the years, Blackwood Manor had passed through the hands of numerous owners, each one falling victim to the mansion's sinister influence. Some claimed to have seen ghostly apparitions wandering the halls at night, while others spoke of strange noises echoing from the depths of the cellar, whispers that seemed to speak of unspeakable horrors hidden beneath the surface. But it wasn't until the arrival of the Peterson family that the true nature of Blackwood Manor began to reveal itself. Ignoring the warnings of the townsfolk, they purchased the mansion with dreams of restoring it to its former glory, unaware of the darkness that lay dormant within its walls. As they began the painstaking process of renovation, strange occurrences plagued the Petersons at every turn. Objects would move of their own accord, doors would slam shut without warning, and eerie voices would whisper their names in the dead of night. At first, they brushed off these incidents as mere coincidences, attributing them to the creaks and groans of an old house settling into its foundations. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the manifestations grew more frequent and more malevolent, until it became impossible to deny the truth. Desperate for answers, the Petersons turned to the town's resident historian, an elderly man named Harold, who claimed to have spent years studying the history of Blackwood Manor. With a grim expression, he recounted the tales of death and despair that had plagued the mansion since its inception, warning the family of the dark forces that lurked within its walls. But it was too late. The spirits of Blackwood Manor had already claimed their latest victims, ensnaring the Petersons in a web of terror from which there could be no escape. And as the darkness closed in around them, they realized with horror that some secrets are better left buried, lest they awaken the ghosts of the past and unleash a darkness beyond imagining upon the world. As the days stretched into endless nights within the confines of Blackwood Manor, the Petersons found themselves trapped in a nightmare of their own making. Shadows seemed to dance in the corners of their vision, and every creak of the floorboards sent shivers down their spines. The youngest member of the family, little Emily, began to exhibit strange behavior, claiming to see figures lurking in the darkness and whispering secrets only she could hear. At first, her parents dismissed her tales as nothing more than childish imagination. But as the weeks wore on, they too began to experience the chilling presence that seemed to pervade every inch of the mansion. Desperate for salvation, the Petersons reached out to a renowned paranormal investigator who had made a name for himself, uncovering the truth behind some of the world's most notorious hauntings. With a mix of skepticism and trepidation, they welcomed him into their home, hoping that he could offer some insight into the malevolent forces that held them captive. Armed with an array of state-of-the-art equipment, the investigator set out to uncover the truth behind the mysteries of Blackwood Manor. But as he delved according to his research, Blackwood Manor had once been the site of unspeakable atrocities, its former owners driven mad by the whispers of the spirits that haunted its halls. He spoke of rituals performed in the dead of night, sacrifices made to appease the restless souls that prowled the grounds in search of vengeance. But as he delved deeper into the darkness, the investigator soon realized that the true horror of Blackwood Manor lay not in its past, but in its present. For within the depths of the mansion's cellar, he discovered a portal to a realm beyond human comprehension, a gateway to a world of nightmares that threatened to consume everything in its path. Epper into the mansion's dark history, he uncovered secrets that sent chills down his spine. With time running out and the spirits growing ever more restless, the Petersons and the investigator raced against the clock to seal the portal and banish the darkness once and for all. But as they performed the ancient rituals passed down through generations, they knew that their fate was sealed, their souls forever bound to the cursed halls of Blackwood Manor. And as the last echoes of their screams faded into the night, the mansion stood silent once more, its secrets buried beneath layers of dust and decay, waiting for the next unsuspecting victim to unleash the horrors that lay within. In the picturesque countryside of rural France, nestled among rolling hills and lush vineyards, lies the quaint village of Belcombe. But behind its charming exterior lies a dark secret that has plagued the village for generations: the mysterious disappearances of children, a phenomenon that has left the community gripped by fear and suspicion. It all began centuries ago, during the tumultuous times of the French Revolution, when Belcombe was a hotbed of political intrigue and social unrest. As the chaos of the revolution swept across the country, whispers began to spread of a shadowy figure known only as Le Masque Noir, the Black Mask, who was said to roam the countryside under the cover of darkness, snatching children from their beds and spiriting them away to an unknown fate. Despite efforts by the local authorities to apprehend the elusive kidnapper, Le Masque Noir remained at large, his identity shrouded in mystery and his motives unknown. Over the years, the disappearances continued, each one sending shockwaves of fear through the tight-knit community and leaving behind a trail of heartbroken families. As the years turned into decades and the centuries-old legend of Le Masque Noir faded into obscurity, the disappearances became less frequent, and Belcombe began to slowly heal from the wounds of its dark past. But just when it seemed as though the village had finally escaped the clutches of its cursed history, a new wave of disappearances gripped the community once again. This time, the victims were not only children, but adults as well, their disappearances even more inexplicable and terrifying than those that had come before. Panic spread like wildfire through the streets of Belcombe, as rumors of a supernatural entity lurking in the shadows began to circulate once again. Desperate for answers, the villagers turned to an unlikely source. A reclusive scholar who had spent years studying the history of Belcom and the legends that had shaped its fate. With a mix of skepticism and trepidation, they sought out the scholar's expertise, hoping that he could shed some light on the mystery that had gripped their village for so long. As the scholar delved into the archives of Belcom's troubled past, he uncovered a truth so horrifying that it sent shivers down his spine. According to ancient manuscripts and forgotten lore, Le Masque Noir was not just a figment of the villagers' imagination, but a very real entity that had plagued the countryside for centuries. Born of a pact made with dark forces beyond human comprehension, Le Masque Noir was said to be an immortal being, cursed to wander the earth for all eternity in search of souls to feed its insatiable hunger. And with each passing generation, it grew stronger, its thirst for bloodshed and chaos driving it ever onward in its relentless pursuit of power. Armed with this knowledge, the villagers of Belcom knew that they had no choice but to confront the darkness that had haunted their village for so long. With the scholar as their guide, they embarked on a perilous journey into the heart of the countryside, determined to put an end to Le Masque Noir's reign of terror once and for all. But as they ventured deeper into the darkness, they soon realized that they were not alone. For lurking in the shadows, Le Masque Noir watched and waited, its eyes burning with an otherworldly fire as it prepared to unleash its wrath upon those who dared to challenge its authority. And as the final confrontation unfolded, the fate of Belcom hung in the balance, its future uncertain in the face of the ancient evil that threatened to consume it whole. But with courage and determination, the villagers stood united against the darkness, refusing to back down in the face of overwhelming odds. In the end, it was not weapons or brute force that defeated Le Masque Noir, but the power of unity and the strength of the human spirit. And as the first rays of dawn broke through the darkness, Belcom emerged from the shadows, its spirit unbroken and its people forever changed by the harrowing ordeal they had endured. But even as the village celebrated its hard-won victory, whispers lingered in the air, a reminder of the fragile balance between light and darkness, and the ever-present threat that lurked just beyond the horizon. And as long as there are secrets hidden in the depths of the past, the legend of Le Masque Noir will continue to haunt the nightmares of those who dare to venture into the unknown.